morning to all of you. I will take you through the webinar now on the total employee involvement, what is practiced at Saint-Gobain Glass, India at Sri Perumbudur in Chennai. Okay, I'll take you through now the TEI initiatives, what we have, but this is what I briefly plan to do today. I'll have a very short introduction about the company, the Saint-Gobain Group, followed immediately with the TEI initiatives which we have in terms of world-class manufacturing, how the employee involvement takes place through suggestions, spot awards, the 5S practices, the cross-functional team working, the knowledge forum activities, we have something unique called MKT2 and the TPM activities, followed with a few glimpses of the kind of awards that we have won in terms of the total employee involvement activities. Okay, as a company, Saint-Gobain India, Saint-Gobain Glass or Saint-Gobain Group was actually founded by a king, King Louis XIV. We actually are a company which is more than 350 years old now. The company started its operations in France in the year 1665. What you're seeing on your screen is the Hall of Mirrors that you have. The company is actually named after a small village on the outskirts of Paris called Saint-Gobain. And the logo of the company stands from one of the old bridges that was there called Pont Moussan. So the logo comes from the small bridge at that village. As I said, we have over 3 centuries of experience in making glass. We are one of the world leaders in production of glass today. What the company today is that we have operations in over 64 countries with a revenue of over 42 billion euros. So we actually are in the top 100 corporations in the world today. Coming to the complex at Chennai, we call it the World Glass Complex because this is one of the largest investments ever made by Saint-Gobain Group worldwide. We are spread across a campus of over 177 acres of land at Sri Perumbudur. What you're seeing on your screen again is a photograph, an aerial overview of the plant, the kind of greeneries and spread out of the plant that you see there. We have 2 float lines producing glass with a combined capacity of over 1,500 tons of glass per day is what we produce there. In addition to production of the raw glass, we also have a mirror plant. That's a value addition that we do on the glass. We are one of the largest mirror producers in the country today with a market share of over 50%. We also have a solar controlled glass plant which we call as the magnetron coating line with a capacity of almost about 5 million square meters. These basically, the glass is supplied to the architectural customers in and around India as well as in the export market. Okay, many of you must have seen some of these ads which used to come in the televisions a few years back. We were awarded a number of awards for bringing up these ads. None of these ads were actually from Saint-Gobain worldwide. It was all made in India and branded across actually the world. So that's the kind of branding that we have done. A company which is about 12 years old in India today stands to be the market leader as on date. As a company, like most companies are, we are certified for the integrated management system. We have certifications for ISO 9001, ISO 14001, as well as the OSHA's 18001 certification. These systems ensure that the products that we produce and the processes that we do in the plant are conforming to international standards. Now I come to the TEI initiatives, what we have at Saint-Gobain Glass in Chennai. See, we have a number of initiatives and all of them are under the flagship of a concept what we call as the world-class manufacturing system or the WCM. The WCM is actually practiced across the Saint-Gobain Group and it is common for all the factories of Saint-Gobain. So the methodology that we follow stands uniform throughout the Saint-Gobain Group. Little of introduction I will give you on what is this world-class manufacturing that we do and how the TEI initiatives are actually integrated into the system. This pillar, what you see, is actually the world-class manufacturing pillar that we have. Quite similar in terms of what you would see actually in a TPM or a TQM organization. But when we come to TPM or TQM, typically it's the pillars that you would actually see without a foundation. Okay, the foundations are probably understood by the people in their own way. But at Saint-Gobain, we actually first build the foundation, and it is on these foundations that the pillars are actually built. It's just a coincidence that the pillars and the logo of the company almost matches to each other. So what you see here now is a WCM template that you see, which has got a single agenda. The single agenda is nothing but reaching an operational excellence as well as meeting the customer requirements, for which there is a foundation where we call, as most companies do follow these standards in terms of 5S or autonomous maintenance systems. There are focused improvement plans, including the people involvement initiatives through various schemes, and also something what we call as a cost deployment, which we do. It is on these foundations that the pillars are built. There are 8 pillars in total, which we call it as the roots for excellence. And once you have this root for excellence, these then are actually becoming finally the vision or the objectives of the company. So it is these foundations that I will actually be emphasizing more, because the roots for excellence can be taken in different ways and across different industries. So being part of the TI activity, I will focus more on the foundations and the way we do it at Saint-Gobain. Okay, so now let's see how this is what each of these pillars stand for in its individuality. Health and safety basically is to ensure zero accidents or zero occupational illness with a consistent risk prevention system. Okay, so it's not merely we talk about zero accidents or zero injuries and then we do a post-mortem. We have actually a route of excellence, or a route or a path which you can say can lead to zero accidents and zero occupational illness. This is through a systemized way of finding out the risks in the plant and preventing them by taking proactive steps. Similarly, we have a pillar on environment and risk protection, where we ensure zero industrial incidents. There is a zero non-recycling waste generated from the plant with a consistent, again, risk prevention system in place. Reliability, or many companies do call it as a PM pillar in some of the activities like TPM or TQM, where we ensure the reliability of production through planned activities at the minimum cost. The industrial efficiency pillar basically focuses on improving the productivity or the continuous improvements through man and machine by reducing the non-value added activities. So again, you can see it at the foundation. There are activities like the time-based management or the VSM activity that we do, and the cost deployment, which actually helps to build up this pillar. Otherwise, you would be doing some of the activities as part of the industrial efficiency or productivity improvement, where your foundation would not be strong enough to support the pillar. Quality, yes, we aim at zero defect. The aim is to get into zero defect, so you make the process strong, which systems like the ISO 9001 support or go hand in hand to ensure that the products that come out finally are conforming to the requirements of the customer, and it is that there is no cost waste in terms of non-quality or a non-value added product which is produced. Customer focus. Ultimately, we all run the business to meet the customer requirements. So unless there is a customer service which is done properly or handled properly, it was of no purpose. See here, what I would like to emphasize is that the Chennai plant, when it started its operations in 1998, over the first 2 years or 3 years, by 2001, 2002, we were just 10%, we had a market share in this country. Okay, we were basically, I would say, also another player in the glass segment. In a 10-year span, today we have become actually the world, the leader in the country today. We have 3 float lines which is operating in the country and the 4th under construction. And I think with all those in place, we definitely have scope to be the market leader, whether it is in terms of pricing or quality or in terms of service. The people development pillar. This is where the HR practices get into place. The fundamentals of this pillar is that it is not the HR policies alone. What we try to do is to improve the social climate or the HR management systems, the efficiencies with which we do, and to sustain the skills of the people and the organizational development oriented on a world-class manufacturing approach. What we need to do is, in today's world where we have a lot of people moving out, coming in, there is a lot of skill gap which comes in from time to time. This pillar actually addresses the need for bridging the gap of skills and then sustaining them over a period of time. So that's what the people development pillar does. And finally, when you need to be in the market, you need to constantly innovate. You need to make new products. New products are introduced to the market, which has to have a customer acceptance, for which we keep interacting with the customers, the customer service department, the planning department, the marketing department. They work in tandem. Now, what again I want to say in all these pillars is, these are not standalone pillars by itself. Each of these pillars actually has a cross-functional team working, and none of the pillars, typically what happens in organizations is when you come to a pillar like reliability, where there is a maintenance activity, yes, the pillar owner or the pillar chairman could be a person from the engineering services, but he can do this work on this pillar only when he has the support and involvement of the people from production line, from the planning line. Why planning? Because unless you plan and shut down the line for maintenance, you will land up into a problem where probably the customer would not be serviced properly. So there is a complete interconnection of all these pillars, and that we ensure through the cross-functional teams which are put up for each of these pillars. The pillar chairman, yes, is from probably the parent department that we put in, so that there is a more sustained and there is a higher effort put in on this in terms of the capability or the skill required to run the pillar. Okay, 0 is a magic number. You can always target 0 customer rejections, 0 bad products produced, 0 downtime of equipment. But all this is possible only when there is a group working or the cross-functional team working across these various pillars. So this is how we do at Saint-Gobain, where we build the foundations, and on this foundation we have the individual pillars which are constructed, and the pillars work seamlessly across departments to see that finally we get that operational excellence or the customer satisfaction is done. Okay. Now let me come to the foundations. Why we come to the foundation? The foundation, the fundamental principle is get the people involved across all sections. It is not something where it is either a top-driven or a bottom-driven approach. It's a combination. It's a combination of all the people working. Everyone contributes finally to the WCM practice in some way or other. Someone could be taking a lead, someone could be giving a support service. What we essentially talk from a traditional organization is that it's normally the top people who are paid to think, and the bottom pyramid of the, usually is a job given for them to just execute it. But in a world-class organization, what we look at is a complete involvement where everyone thinks, everyone acts. It could be through focused improvement programs, through Kaizen teams, small group activities, any of them. You can have your own method. So this is the way that we do at Saint-Gobain Glass. Okay. Coming to the Kaizens and what it can give you. Something like a teamwork for quick improvements based on the focus subjects, which could be a top-down approach, a cost deployment, or a value stream mapping activity that takes place, as well as a bottom-up approach where employees come up with suggestions, improvement programs. So it's not that teamwork when we say it's from the top. There is an approach from the top which is given. There is also a bottom-up approach which goes in. Both work together to actually form what we do, or what we call it as Kaizen events at Saint-Gobain. And as far as teamwork is concerned, you see, we are a company which do not have, in fact, actually a category called workmen. But it doesn't say that, since workmen are not there, they are not involved. We have a concept where we call everyone as team members, or someone who supports or gives a functional guidance is called a team leader. So across the organization, you would find all levels of people are involved at various stages of the world-class manufacturing program. Probably a team leader would be the pillar chairman, and the members, the cross-functional team, works at the bottom of the pillar. The power of the world-class manufacturing system at Saint-Gobain comes actually from the people involvement. It is the same approach which is done by most organizations in terms of the PDCA approach, but there is a continuous coaching that takes place across the levels of the organization, leading to what finally has to come in terms of the financial benefits to the company. If that doesn't happen, then there is something missing down the link. There is somewhere coordination is not taking place. So there is a Kaizen which takes place at various levels, at various stages of the process or various stages of operation of the plant. So this is where we integrate the world-class manufacturing system with the involvement of all our team members and team leaders working in the factory. Okay, it's the same PDCA, but how does this PDCA work? There is a company goal, there is a policy deployment which is done at the top level, which is in conformance to the group's requirement, which could be either strategic or in terms of value stream we do, or in terms of production lines or KPIs, whether it is defined for marketing or operational people. There is a coherent system where we identify the performance gaps in each of the activities that we do. Once you establish the gaps, then you need to understand why the gaps are there, which is nothing but finding the root cause. Now, finding this could be having in various ways. Generally, the system followed is to do the why analysis. At why analysis has to be very detailed, and it also needs the involvement of all of your people, because it is not something which is done offline in the offices. It has to be done at the spot where the incident is occurring, or only and with the involvement of the people at the shop floor, because they are the ones who know what exactly has gone wrong or why it has gone wrong, and then through focused improvement plans or stratification, the countermeasures are taken. Now, how is a countermeasure taken? This could be in the form of Kaizens, it could be in the form of suggestions, it could be in the form of small teams which is working across doing the why analysis and giving suggestions for improvement. And then you need to have the entire people involvement to again come back to the original company goal or the policy deployment that you need to do. So it's the same PDCA cycle that we follow here, finally leading to a world-class manufacturing system in the plant. Fundamentally, yes, we also do through the Kaizen route, but there are various ways. We don't call just an activity as a Kaizen. We have our own way of calling various activities. All these are under the umbrella of Kaizen. Now, I will come to the system of how we do the power of Kaizen at our end. Okay, we have various problem-solving tools which we have. In a traditional organization which has got operators or craftsmen, and then you have a final level who is a big specialist, or he is a person with adequate knowledge. So we do there are independent activities which can be done within the department, forming small group activities. The more complex problems which require intervention from other experts or other departments, going to an interrelated complex problem which requires the CRTF teams to come in, or the cross-functional teams which play an active role in solving the issues. Okay, we do value stream mapping. What we do is, since our plant is quite large, we have broken it up into various individual sub-plants. We have the smaller plants like mirror, coater, the float line one, where what we do is, there are teams which are there, they work and they find out which are the non-value adding activities and then eliminate them step by step. Why we do it in a smaller group is because of the size of the plant. If your plant size is small, you could be doing it as in one single step, but we do it across in multiple steps. Finally, we then integrate all of them into a common value stream mapping, starting from the raw material receipt to what finally you would be dispatching the finished goods to the customer. So that's an activity which we have put there, which actually aims at reducing the cost. So when we find out the costs at each of the activities and all those activities which do not add value to the system, we either try to simplify or eliminate it in total. So cost deployment. It's the 16 major losses as you have it in the TPM approach or the TQM approach that you have. We break it down into major sectors like energy for materials, the equipment OE or the manpower OE is also calculated. So these losses are captured over a period of time, understood, analyzed, and then the corrective steps are taken for deploying them at the respective functions. We have a number of trained resources for doing this. We actually have a very intensive program. Each of these pillars, there is a person who gets trained over 5 days consecutively. At the end of 5 days, he actually takes up a mini project or a small project which requires a combination of people to work with him, but it's an individual project that he runs. He is the team leader for executing the project. Now, at the end of 5 weeks, he gives a project which he would like to do, which he decides in conjunction with the sponsor. Every month, the project gets reviewed with the help of an external consultant also, and the entire project is reviewed. But he needs to complete this project in 12 weeks' time, which means 3 months. At the end of third month, there is a final project presentation that he does. Also, he does a test which he has to do, a written test, and both of these, when qualified, he gets certified as a green belt project holder. So if you look at it, we had something like, the quality circle involvement of people at around 62% initially. Over the years, we have been improving, and for the current year, in fact, we are targeting something like about 75% of all the people to be involved in some way or other in the QC projects. There are a number of QC projects which are running across the plant. So each of these pillars support them to execute the project. And the projects are basically the ones which have got slightly critical issues to be solved. Either it could be process improvement, product quality improvement, skill improvement. It could be any of them. So this is how we train our resources here. Now, this is one unique system that we have. Normally, for a person, when they execute a project, on successful completion of the project, there is a certificate which gets handed over to the person in recognition to the project who has completed it. But we do a slightly different way. We also give a certificate at the initiation of the project because the people across need to know who is actually doing this project. So at the project initiation stage also, in the departmental meeting or what we call as the interdepartmental meeting, we actually give a certificate and announce that the person is taking up a project and this is going to be the project that he is going to take. When he completes the project, there is again a similar function which is held where we give a certificate of completion of the project. So he gets actually recognized twice. One, we value as a company the project that is taken, so there is a lot of importance attached to the project, and on successful completion, we declare what is the kind of benefits or results that have come out on closure of the project. So you could think of it as both in giving a recognition at the time of initiating a project also. That gives a slightly more seriousness to the person who is actually doing the project work. Otherwise, what you would see is many projects get undertaken, but some lose track on the way and a few get closed. So if you do it through this way, you could ensure a more near, I would say, 100% completion of all projects that are being taken. Remember, any project that is taken is actually taken with a view to enhance the process. So you need to give that kind of importance at the top level. Yes, we have the suggestion scheme, what we have. There is a slight difference from the practice followed by many companies. The suggestion scheme that we have here, in fact, the people actually have a target. Target in the sense, we have a target of 8 suggestions to be given by an employee per year. It may sound a bit high to some of the industries or some of the companies, but remember that world-class companies like Toyota have a target of 40 suggestions to be given by a person in a year. So 8 is not, 8 may look a big number when you look at it from certain organizations, but 8 definitely is a step forward. But how do we do it? We have a complete online system for doing this activity. It is all in the system. There is no manual paperwork done. Any employee is free to give a suggestion either in his area of work or any area of work or any part of the plant. He gives a suggestion. It goes to his immediate superior, who has a right to either accept the suggestion or reject the suggestion. In the event of him rejecting a suggestion, the person needs to give a valid reason as to why he is rejecting the suggestion. It could be because a similar suggestion has been done in the other department and it is a mere copy of that suggestion which is taken, which otherwise we call it as horizontal deployment. Now in our terminology, when we say suggestion or we call it by the name my contribution, it has to be his own individual effort. Where he gives the suggestion, he does it. So, he does it and then it goes to the functional head or a level 2 approver who also has the right to accept or reject a suggestion. And again, the same process. In the event of him rejecting a suggestion, there need to be a valid reason as to why he is rejecting the reason. Once the final sponsor, the second level approval is done in the online system, the responsibility or the onus of implementation lies with the person who is making the suggestion. He cannot delegate it out to some other person and say it is your suggestion or your area, you need to do it. It is the responsibility of the guy giving the suggestion. So he or she can take the help of the other departments and then execute the suggestion to be implemented. So we have a system here, what you see as in the online system, where the person enters the description, he enters the problem with what he is seeing in the current system, what is the advantages of the proposed system, and one is allowed to make attachments or slides, Excel sheets or Word documents along with the suggestions so that the person who is reviewing it is clear of what is the suggestion or what is the nature of suggestion given by the respective employee. We also categorize these suggestions either in terms of productivity improvement, it could be in terms of safety or environment, it could be a quality improvement program, it could be something like a reduction in cost. There are various categories that we put in. So by the employee putting it in the respective category, it is also possible for us to track from time to time as to how many suggestions have come across various categories. And we can actually tabulate and see what is the kind of benefits that we have got over a period of time from these suggestions. The entire suggestions are done online. There is no manual paperwork and it is an auto system where the moment the person puts a suggestion, it automatically reflects in the computer or the terminal of his sponsor. And you could do a review system as what we do. Once the thing, when the suggestion is put by the employee finally gets implemented, okay, you can see the status there at the some functional head where some of the items are written as accepted. Accepted means it is pending implementation, and once done, the status changes to implemented. Finally, the functional head also sees whether the suggestion that is implemented is effective or not. This is required. Otherwise, if you do not have a review system, people would be putting suggestions, something would be getting implemented, maybe the person what he thought was something and what got finally done was something else. So the functional head actually reviews it and then he closes the suggestion finally as accepted, or the status what you can see as to be reviewed in the final column that you're seeing there. So at any point of time, we have a database of all the suggestions, and the most important thing is this is something which can be viewed by anyone working in the plant. There is no restriction to view a suggestion. So everyone can see what someone else has implemented, and if it is a good one which can be implemented at his end, can actually translate it into his own department. So there is a suggestion that we monitor, and then if you look at how we have evolved, see, we launched this program in the year 2007 where there was something like 1.3 suggestions given per employee per year. So what was the system? The traditional systems of Dropbox, we migrated to an online system from a paperwork. There were steering committees which were formed, reviews done. We had something called the quarterly suggestion awards, spot awards, which were given. From the system, we went into a quantum leap in 2008 when actually we started involving even our outsourced service providers. What's an outsourced service provider? It's nothing but a contractor working in the company. Normally, the suggestion scheme runs in most companies only for the company employees, and the others are not normally taken into account. Whereas in our case, the moment the person is working for Saint-Gobain, let him be an outsourced provider, let him be an apprentice who is working with us, or a permanent employee of Saint-Gobain Glass, all of them are involved in the same way. The targets given for a contract employee, or what we call as an outsourced service employee, is slightly different from that given for a Saint-Gobain employee. While I said that a Saint-Gobain employee has got a target of 8 suggestions per year, an outsourced service provider has got a target of 2 suggestions per year, primarily because of the nature of work what he does. At the outsourced service employee, you must understand that technically he is not qualified to the extent what a Saint-Gobain guy would be employed, or he is the level of skill that he has got. So he has got a lesser scope of work, hence his target is also defined separately. So in 2008, we actually involved even the outsourced service providers under the scheme for recognition. In 2009, we started activities like Kaizen Express, the Muda photography, where one could take photographs, circulate it across the mail or through the online system. We started actually calculating the financial benefits which is coming through it, and then landed up at 6.4 suggestions per employee per year. 2010, yes, we did see a small dip. We more or less, we maintained, but you need to keep giving newer things every year. If you keep a constant system throughout the period, you would actually start getting monotony and the people would start losing focus. So every year we start giving new things. We started a concept called the third eye, where something which is hard to access areas, just focus on the hard to access areas, where the people would start looking only at those areas and start giving suggestions. That starts eliminating a lot of problems that we were facing from that side. We started having poke-yoke competitions across departments, across groups, and then achieved at that year about 6.1. 2011, we went into the suggestion blitz, where we run program at least twice a year for a period of, let's say, 15 days to 3 weeks. And then we have things like, that the guy who is giving the maximum number of suggestions, or the department which gives maximum number of suggestions. You need to devise it in your own way, depending on the size of your plant and the kind of composition that you have in the plant. But these schemes, what it does is, it starts giving some kind of an encouragement to the people, and then they start giving more and more focus, because you need to keep this thing running, and there need to be continued effort put in. Once launched a suggestion scheme and you put it, there is always an initial enthusiasm and then drops down over a period. In fact, last year we had a remarkable success story where we actually ended up at about 8.7 suggestions against a target of 8 per employee. Again, you can see here, we started in fact a concept of auditing even the suggestions, because when over the years you will find, somewhere somebody trying to get something of an old one, putting it, or people, when they are forced to targets, there's often a question asked that what is the quality of the suggestions. So we started a concept of auditing the suggestions, where there is an independent body which actually goes around. He can take a printout from the system, look at it himself or herself, go around, check, verify. And we actually found a very high level of compliance to what is actually getting recorded in the online system. So this is how we track across various departments. You will see, in fact, the technical TS actually stands for technical services, which is basically the engineering services. So the engineering services, naturally, yes, have got, higher scopes, but, we have not left out any department. We cover every single department inside the plant, including even functions like stores or the warehouse department, and we then plot it and review it on a monthly basis across departments. So everyone knows what is the level at which he is there, or his or her department is, and there can be more sustained focus. Remember, at Saint-Gobain today, when we say suggestions, suggestions can be put across the plant. It is not restricted to his own or her own area of work. The onus of implementation lies with the person who is raising the suggestion. Okay, definitely yes, we also do an analysis of the kind of contributions what come in. There's always someone who is there who has got less participation. So if you look at it, about, let's say about 20-25% of the people would be at a lower suggestion level. But there are several others who give a much higher contribution when compared to the target set in. Do not get demotivated that, everyone is not involved. In an organization which has got about 1,500 people working there, you can't have all 1,500 clapping at the same time. You will definitely have someone who is less involved or had less scope to put suggestions, but there are several ones who have got higher scope and who contribute more. Focus on them and give encouragement to the people who are contributing less by showing the people who are actually contributing higher. Motivate them, give them recognition, even if it is only one suggestion that he has given, recognize it. The moment you start recognizing, the pie diagram actually starts changing. If one looks at the old pie chart that we had, you would find, there are very few handful of people who are actually giving, high number of suggestions, most of them being actually disengaged. Now, we also benchmark our activity with our global plans across the Saint-Gobain group. Now, if you look at it, across the group, we see there is an yellow bar that you see there as SGG. A total of 11,900 and odd suggestions have been given across the group, almost 12,000 I would say. And then you look at that blue line which shows Chennai figure at 4252, which is 36% of these global suggestions actually originated from Chennai. Because the level of involvement that we have given, or the level of recognition that we give, or the importance that we attach is so high that people get motivated to contribute more, because everyone at the end of the day would like to be recognized and to be part and to be fully involved in the activities of the plant. So we also benchmark ourselves to see where we stand. These, even if you are at a lower stage, do not get disheartened. There are somebody who is better than us. Get motivated with them, keep explaining to them how they do it, and then get your team charged up to perform better. Now, this is how we do for the outsourced service providers or the contractors. We track them agency-wise. They have got a lower target, as I mentioned earlier, as two suggestions per employee per year. Even there, we see a significant improvement over the past. Currently, in fact, if you look at the current year of 2013, the quarter one, which has just ended, we are actually at about 2.7. Because they get the recognition in the same platform that the Saint-Gobain employee gets. There is no separate system that he is a contract labor, so he needs to be looked at it differently from that of a Saint-Gobain employee. So there is a complete interlink between a Saint-Gobain employee as well as a contract labor, and both get looked at it at the same eye and get recognized in the same forum. We have a system of a suggestion awarding system. Very important, who gives the recognition. In our case, actually the managing director himself is there to give individual certificates to the people who are actually contributing the suggestion. If you look at the certificates what people are holding, it will mention his name and the number of suggestions that he has given for the particular period. And it is individually given employee by employee. We just had, in fact, the function only last evening, the 18th edition that we had, where we recognized for the last quarter, for the 3-month period. And you can see, even of these suggestions what people have given, not everyone gets awarded in the ceremony. The reason being, we actually categorize them, or we find out the quality of the suggestion, which is done by a core group, and roughly I would say about 40% of the people actually contribute high value suggestions, and these get recognized separately in the scheme. Notwithstanding, the people who have given suggestions but not awarded in this function are also equally recognized in the monthly manufacturing meeting, where we call out names and we recognize them. The opportunity is also taken by the managing director to address all the employees of the performance of the last quarter as well as the outlook for the future, which is then followed again by a question and answer session where people are encouraged to ask questions, anything related to the business which they would like to clarify, and it's an open forum. So this is the way that we recognize the efforts which are given by the people towards improvement processes. We also do something slightly different here. You can see in this photograph actually the chairman of Saint-Gobain Group worldwide. He makes a visit normally once in a year to the factory. We utilize this opportunity again to share with him some of the suggestions as well as recognize employees who are high contributing people. So you look at the photograph. On the left hand side you see actually a Saint-Gobain employee who has given 37 suggestions in a year. In the same platform, there is also an outsourced service provider who is recognized who has given 23 against a target of 2. So you look at it, there is no separate function which is for a Saint-Gobain employee or for an outsourced service provider. It's in the same room, one followed by another, getting recognized by the chairman of the group. So this is how we try and motivate our people, encourage them to contribute more. We have a system of what we call as a spot award. This is slightly different from a suggestion award. Spot award is actually a postmortem award. Postmortem award in the sense there is an activity which has happened at the plant, which is an exigency kind of a situation where an individual or a group of people have acted together to solve a particular issue then and there, which otherwise could have led to a disaster inside the plant. What normally is done is immediately, either on the same day or at least on the next day, the immediate functional head recognizes the effort put in and gives a certificate in the shop floor in the presence of all the people to the concerned individual. And thereafter, followed by a cash award which we give them in the monthly manufacturing meeting where the incident is explained in detail and what kind of actions were taken to prevent the disaster or how the exigency was solved. So this spot award has to be done then and there, not waiting for a 3-month period to see who has done best. It's an instant award which is given at the thing. So you recognize the employee or his efforts, his or her efforts there, then and there inside the shop floor. So we call it as spot award, where the functional heads through the online system puts it, and since it's an online system, it gets reviewed the same day the approval goes and the individual gets recognized either on the same day at the end of the shift or at least the next day that he is in the plant. So these are some of the visuals of the kind of improvements which people have done, which we either it is in terms of the visual controls or the Kaizens done, and these are exhibited out inside the shop floor in various ways in the whole plant. So you would see a lot of visual control systems inside the factory. We call a 6S. It is nothing but 5S plus safety. I think I don't have to explain much on 5S. 5S is a good practice of becoming for an organization managing its workplace, which is normally common to all. But we integrated safety along with this. So hence in our plant, we actually call it by the name 6S and we don't say 5S. So 5S, the kind of thing, it stands for either Seri, Siton, Seisu, Seketsu and Shitsutsu. Okay, any company-wide initiative warrants a launch. Okay, why it is required? Because you need to get the people together to act. So we did our launch in 2006 where almost 300 people participated in the program. And there was a champion for 5S who was nominated and he spoke on the need of 5S to be put in the plant. There is the 5S chairman, the managing director also addresses the people in the same function where there are plaques given to all the zone leaders. We have in our plant almost 90 zones because we are a 177-acre plant. We have 90 zones. Every zone has got a zone leader and he has got a group of either, something like 4 to 10 members in his team. So in this process, every member in some zone or other gets himself into that. And he is involved in the upkeep of the plant and putting a system at the respective place. So there are skits which are organized to emphasize the need for 5S because remember, again, we have a lot of outsourced providers working with us who probably would have lesser knowledge or lesser theoretical knowledge. So we do it through plays, kits, get them involved to do 5S. So today if you come to a factory and even talk to the contract employees, they would actually explain to you in their own way what is 5S. They may not probably use the actual terminologies, but he will explain to you in a layman's language what 5S stands for and how is he contributing to the 5S activities in the plant. Again, 5S, how did we launch? We launched in the year 2006, the typical 5S, which we did there, where we created zones, created logos, walked through audits done, and then we have a company-wide score, which we track on a scale of 36 marks, where every zone gets audited every month, and then an aggregate of that score becomes the plant score. In 2007, we actually moved from 5S to 6S, integrating safety also as part of it, and extended the 5S activities to the schools. 2008, you need to have again sustenance here. So you need to create new things. So we create a competition like War on Waste Week. It's an activity for 1 week which we run during the year, where people identify all sorts of waste which are there. Again, if you look back at the foundations of the WCM, the value stream mapping. When I say waste, it is not mere object waste that you see. It could be even waste in a kind of activity that you do, a non-value adding activity. So people start putting this and start reviewing the various systems that you have in the plant. Any zone which has got a consistent high score of 30 and above, we started calling them as elite club. So, it's a way to recognize that someone is doing well and doing well consistently. So you need to put something. So we started the concept of elite club. And then in 2009, newer activities, 6-minute 6S. The activity just takes place, especially for the officers, where we need to do. For 6 minutes, everybody's terminal flashes stop your work. And just for 6 minutes, he or she does in his table area, upkeep of the area, eliminating all sorts of waste, taking them out, cleaning up the place, doing a 5S activity, organizing his table properly, just for 6 minutes. So something new, something unique you bring in to start cheering up the people, and then do some, get them involved in these activities. We then in 2010 extended it to home audit. Some of the employees we identified, where we started going to their homes and started recognizing how even in their homes they practice 5S and how the families get involved in this activity. So when we started doing this, we also made a movie on 6S. We presented it across the plant, across various Saint-Gobain groups, even we gave it to them. Then in 2011, we started doing external audits twice a year to verify the way we do the audit, whether it is in compliance to a good system or whether we are doing it the right way. We also have zones which are on self-audit. If consistently scoring over a period of time, we put them on self-audit where they do themselves without any other external intervention. They do themselves every month, the audit, and they publish the score. And it is for anyone to go there and verify whether it is done correctly or not. In 2012, we then started going into auditor certification, where the auditor goes, gives his recommendations after the audit, and the people who are giving the maximum number of suggestions or maximum number of quality suggestions get also recognized as best auditor. So you need to constantly innovate, create new ways to keep people motivated and get them across involved in various activities. Again, 6S we do through the online system. We have a standard checklist which is there, which has got a scoring of either 0 or 1. So there is no intermediate one. Either it is there or not there. If it is given a 0, the person also gives his remark on the right hand side as to why he has given 0 for it. So the respective zone leader can see the comments and then take necessary actions to correct the problem. So again, this is done on an online system. We have a system of red tagging also, something which is not useful to me but could be useful to somebody else. It is again an online system where people identify unwanted objects in their area of work, put them with a description in an identified place which we call as the 5S red tag area, where he puts it on an online system. So the advantage is when it is an online system, in a campus which is so far and wide and spread across, sitting in my office I can see which are all those items available for me if there is something which is useful to me, and then I can go to the respective area, see whether it is required for me and take it. It is not necessary for me to always physically go there and then see. I can see it actually on my terminal. So we have actually put it on the online system. So anyone who puts it into the red tag area also fills it in the online system as to what he has put there. So the entire company, including the offices which are located in the city, actually can come across. Let's say a chair or a broken chair or something is put in there. Someone could see it that, okay, I just need to replace some handles inside it and I could use it. So it's for everyone to see there. And we then monitor the audit score, as I said, on a monthly basis. We keep tracking them. We need to train them. There are times when there will be dips, where things are out of control, but these are steps which are then taken to see how to improve and act on it. And then we have a radar chart we keep across departments, do a monthly review to see how, over a period of time, how the departments have progressed, or there is a degrowth in their progress stage. We then try and help them out, come out of the current situation. So what we also do a number of other things. We do something like a bogey day celebration where all the unwanted wastes are taken out of the plant. We had the success anniversary, which we do every year, including for the outsourced service providers, where they put up stalls inside the plant explaining safety practices and communication to all employees, whether it is outsourced or whether it is a permanent employee. And this way we get the people involved to do various activities inside the plant. You need to constantly train people. This is very important because otherwise over a period of time, with the kind of environment what we have today, where there are people coming in and going out, there will be loss of talent. So you need to constantly keep training up your people to do these activities. So we conduct number of workshops we conduct to train people in carrying out these activities. We take a help of external advisors who can come and help us, and in fact CII does a good job there of giving a lot of facilitators to us. Mass Success is an activity where we do once in a month in a particular area for about 1 to 1.5 hours. You see, when we look at the plant score, there are areas which have scored badly. Probably they need some help. They cannot do it themselves. They are finding it difficult to do. So a bunch of people, we group together on a specified day. There is an auto mail which goes across to all the employees inside the organization. Anyone is free to come. There is no compulsion. You would see 100, 150 people turning up for this kind of an event where all of them come, join together and contribute for about 1 to 1.5 hours. Just imagine 100 people coming in for 1 hour. We are talking about 100 man hours. It would take otherwise, by putting one person or two people, if you put 50 days to do the job kind of thing, we get it done in such a short span of time. Help them across. So it also gets all the people involved together. No one has got a qualm that I'm actually going to some other area and trying to do something. Get the people across. We take a pledge at the end of it. We take before and after photographs. We display it, recognize and appreciate the efforts given by all the people in coming together and helping some area improve their scores. And we also monitor how many people get activated, how many people have contributed to it, and in terms of value even, how much of actually value that we have generated over a period of time. Because it's just a monthly activity which we do every month. There's an auto mailer which goes and people are free to come. There is no compulsion. No one says, no, you should come. People come on their own. There is no number restriction. Even if only 50 people turn up, okay, 50 people, we do it. There are times when there are 100 people who turn up, 150 people who turn up and who actually come together to help out the person. And then we put visual standards across, as I said, the before and after photographs to show and how this area or the zone has done better compared to the past, with do's and don'ts displayed both in the local language as well as in English. You need to put in the local language depending on the kind of people that you have, because we have a lot of contract labor who are from North India as well as from South India. So we put in the local languages in Hindi, we put in Tamil, we put so that people understand what actually we are trying to communicate to them. And then we set up the standards, how you need to maintain your plant. We display them in the boards as what materials get used up there, what's the rate of each of these things. So once people understand the value of the thing, they take more care, they get more involved in the process. We also have something what we call as the QC circles. What we do here is we have actually today about 32 teams which are operating. Again, this is an online system that we have. Across various departments, we have the following number of teams which are there. It's an online system. We typically take the 12-step method for solving the issue, where at the end of every week, the group needs to upload the status, what they have done. You cannot do a back uploading of data. If someone has missed uploading a data for a week, the problem is if you don't have put in a robust system, what will actually happen is teams will work as and when they want to work. At the end of 12 weeks, some teams would have succeeded, some teams will fail. Now, if you have a system like this, an online system, where every week it is mandatory for them to upload the status of what improvement they have done, which gets reviewed in the steering committee, which is done every month. The people come and make the presentations on the progress. It helps two things. One, the team is motivated to do the most important thing, to do better. Second, if they are stuck at some point of time, in the steering committee, there is a group of experienced people who are sitting, cross-functional team. They can give guidance, approach, how to solve the issue where they are stuck, and they also get recognized at the time of closure of the projects. So this is one another activity that we do in terms of cross-functional team working, where the status gets uploaded on a weekly basis and gets reviewed in the steering committee. And then, you have teams like this, the red status. When we actually converted just this into the online. This was a manual tracking which was getting done. Today we do it. So anyone sitting in the terminal can actually go through the system and see whether they have done it on the date that is specified, or whether they have skipped. So it helps us tracking. So you could do one thing, the various teams that we have, you could give some names for them. So there are various teams like, someone has given a name of Resolver, Magnetron, Crusaders, Transformers. Leave it to the team to decide what name they would like to take. So it gives a kind of a motivation for them that, look, my team has done good, or my team has done so many projects in a year. So we again recognize this at the monthly meetings, where we recognize them with certificates, with awards, so that the other teams who probably are not doing that good also get encouraged to perform better. Ultimately, we run businesses to earn money. So cost reduction is one major activity, and cost reduction cannot come up with single individuals alone focusing. We have again here an online system where there are cross-functional teams who work on various projects to reduce cost, which is a stretch target beyond the target actually taken for the year. At the start of every year, we follow the calendar year actually, because we are a multinational company. So there are goals which are taken that this is what we would be achieving. Once the goals are taken, there is a stretch target which is then taken. That could be something what we call as an internal target. Internal target is a tighter target when compared to what? Because there could be some places where we slip certain activities which are beyond your control. Let's take, for example, price of oil. We would have made some assumptions and said that, this is what we'll reach. But oil price is not in your hands. It could be depending on what the world scenario is in. So if you're losing somewhere in some area, probably you need to make up in another area. So cross-functional teams work, and there is a finance team which will work along with this team and who will validate how the progress is done. And unless the financial validation is done, the project actually doesn't get reviewed in the monthly meeting. Once the online validation is done by finance, we know that the savings reported are real for the month or for the year to date. This gets then reviewed again in the monthly manufacturing meeting, where the cross-functional teams are given opportunity to come and explain what kind of actions they have taken to solve the various issues. Okay. So we have a number of projects. We have actually currently 98 projects which are running for merely cost reduction across various functions. And there is an annual target, then there are targets on year to date and how they have achieved at the end of the year, or in terms of the respective month, which gets reviewed. There's a separate meeting. This is not as part of the monthly meeting. There is a separate cost reduction meeting which takes place, which gets reviewed actually by the managing director himself. So teams come, there are time slots allotted for them. They come at the respective time, and then they come and distribute. We have something what is known as knowledge forum. Every individual, remember, has got a lot of skills with him. There are people who have got skills maybe in photography. It has got nothing to do with glass production. But he comes and takes a class there where he explains how to take photography, get the people involved, and this probably is a sharing of knowledge that is done. We sometimes even screen movies which have got a theme or a management theme, let's say, something ideas which have come out from it. We do it every month. We do on a specified Saturday, we do it where we screen to the people either the movie or take sessions of general interest and spread the knowledge. These are taken by individuals themselves. This is not a company-driven program kind of a thing where individuals come forward and tell that I would like to take a class on this, and then he takes it. Just recognize him with a smaller token of appreciation at the end of the program. He gets charged up and there is someone else who is coming to do the session next time. We have something what we call as a manufacturing know-how transfer and training, which is an online system of training people where there is a functional expert who actually comes and designs an online training module, and every new person joining the company undergoes the online training. He undergoes it in his terminal, the entire process. The necessary security features are put inside this terminal so that loss of information doesn't take place, which you need to be very careful of. But it gives an opportunity for the individual to learn it better in the most efficient way and at a faster pace. So there is these trainings are done again by the people. There is a department called the World Class Manufacturing Cell which designs these programs, involving the people from the respective functions, because this cell does not have expertise on every field. So it involves the people. It gets people across to them, designs the module how it needs to be done. The technical expertise is given by the respective department, and the WCM cell actually coordinates in framing it into a proper module. And then this is then put in so that when a person comes in at the induction level of step 1, a new operator, over a period of time, let's say 3 months to 5 months, he gets and to become a trained operator, and who can actually start training up the newcomers again. This is again, we do it through this, where the training hours get tracked on a monthly basis, and again through different methods we have been doing this involvement of the people. We have actually extended it across to the Saint-Gobain group worldwide. There was a team of people who actually went to Egypt when they started their plant and trained all their new people out there with this module. So we send people from here, from India, who go there, who work with them for 2 to 3 months, develop and give them the required skill to operate the plant. So there are learning centers which are put up across the plant in various functions where people can go, read the thing, they can learn themselves. There are articles, journals, technical subjects matter put in there where he can go, look, learn for himself at any point of time during these working hours. There are classes taken by the functional experts to them, to accelerate the program, because we need people to be trained fast. We can't be taking slow process where a functional expert comes in, gives him his knowledge, shares with him. There is an evaluation done on how the people have got trained at the end of the program, and also on a continuous basis. Every month the people get evaluated to see how much they are progressing on the skills. So some of the things which we do through the knowledge sharing process, various things we do, starting with fibers to actually, highly technical skills that we teach them there across in the plant, where all the people again get involved. So there are journals, operating procedures which are kept in the place where anybody could go, see them, learn them, and the more and more visuals that you put helps the people to understand faster. You could even put photographs of the people there so that who have done this job in terms of recognizing their efforts put in. We have launched TPM in a very small way. Idea was to build in a cultural difference inside the plant. As I said again, you need to constantly keep doing new things inside the plant. One idea generated, 5 years back, do not allow it to keep on going on, because, you would find people said the monotony setting in and people would start losing focus. So we started the concept of TPM, again under the umbrella of the WCM, nothing much different, but again doing something differently and in a new process. So there were 4 model machines which had been identified, and we are taking help of, in fact, the CII TPM cell to do this program, getting the people together to tagging and how to do the 1-point lesson, display it out in the shop floor, the 1-point lesson. They do it by their own hand. No computer printouts are taken except the format. So, it is not a cut and paste kind of an activity which goes in there. People write with their own hand. The names are written at the bottom who has done it. So it gets recognized much better. Kaizen sheets are made. These are also displayed inside the shop floor and in recognition to the efforts put in by the people. Several other of the smaller initiatives which we do, we have a thing called powering together, or a team building exercise, which we do functional wise. There is one group of technical services who come together, who are taken to a different spot where there are a lot of exercises which they do, where we, bringing a camaraderie in between the people, getting them to work as a team. Maybe as individuals, all of them are good, but as a team, many times there are failures which happen. These kind of exercises that we do in an off-site area helps them to come together, understand each one better, and then they start contributing much better as a group. So powering together is a major program that we run as part of the TI initiatives, or bringing people together. some other smaller ways of doing things. We have our own Olympics where the sports day gets conducted every year, where we get across people, where people are divided into 4 groups, like how we would all done it in our school days, and then get the people together to perform as a group and bringing some kind of a competition or a competitive spirit among the people. A sports day is done every year. Similarly, a cultural day is also done where even the families get involved. We call it the Samuha or the Sengoven Glass India family event, which every year we conduct, recognizing even the family there at the function in terms of conducting competitions for children, getting them to be part of the Sengoven family. So getting people together, I think, is fundamentally what we are trying to do in this entire process, and then to bring in a team spirit. We bring the family across to the factory along with the kids also. We conduct camps, we conduct them. So the near and dear ones get to know where their kith and kin are working actually inside the plant, what area. So it's a day when the person is free to take his family around and show the entire process, how it is done, how the factory works. At the end of the day, they give suggestions what we could have done even better. So many suggestions actually come from the families we have seen. And then there are a number of competitions that we hold in the place among the different Sengoven plants inside India. So the best kaizens are taken from one plant, and a competition is held across various Sengoven plants. This need not be glass alone. It could be even other entities of the Sengoven group, and then we conduct competitions, and in an annual function, we recognize them. You can see actually the India delegation head giving away the certificates and awards to the individual members, recognizing their efforts or contributions that they have made. So, you need to keep constantly encouraging them. You need to recognize their efforts to keep the momentum going. So there are various ways we do. It is even done on a global front where the People Engagement Award through the WCM practices, awards are shared for the individual plants in getting people together. In fact, I would say that CII, the last 3 years on a consecutive scale, we have been winning the award for the HR excellence as part of getting all the people together with several other companies. But 3 years in a row, we have been actually, the 2012 also we have won the award from CII. So that makes it 3 consecutive years for us. This was a success movie that we took across the Sengoven group worldwide. Actually, the Chennai plant actually won the award, where we actually made a movie of Charlie Chaplin and then circulated across how to do success in its own simple way. We explained it out. We encourage constantly people to participate in a number of external competitions that are held across, whether it is from CII or QCFI or any other IMA, any of them. We get the people across to participate, and then in fact, many of them have won several of these awards in the outside competitions. Not only outside, but internally also we keep doing, across the lines, we keep doing. Someone at the shop floor, we keep recognizing their efforts, and the people get awarded inside the shop floor. Some of the things what I had mentioned earlier in terms of celebrating weeks, like the War on Waste Week, there are auto mailers which go to various people, specifying the date, when this competition is going to be held. There are nominations which go, and people get prizes for the various things that they do or the various suggestions that they give. Get people together even on, general things like the World Water Day celebrations that we do, the Environment Day celebrations that we do, the 6th anniversary competition that we do every year, getting them in the monthly manufacturing meetings. You are seeing some of the glimpses of people getting recognized at the monthly meeting. You can see the Director of Operations actually giving away the awards to the people. Again, see some of the things which we have on safety, how people get, the departments get recognized, the individuals get recognized. So it's a way of motivating people to do better than what they were doing. Some of the photographs where the outsourced service providers have put up stalls inside the plant, displaying 5S activities or safety activities, how to do, visited by all the people from the Sengoven who they see. We also form a calendar at the beginning of the year. For every year we keep doing it, where we know exactly in this month this is what we are going to celebrate. So it's a calendar known in advance to all the people, so you know exactly what we need to do. You would find some of the things even repeating over a period of time, because you need to keep the momentum going in, you need to keep the activity going on, and this is how we do it at Sengoven. So that's it from me. Thank you all for participating inside it. You have any questions? I can take them. Just be online for a minute. Okay, I'm taking a question from Mr. Senthil Kumar P, who has asked me what is the percentage of the quality suggestions out of the overall suggestions received. See, you've seen that award function that we had. Roughly about 40% of the suggestions actually translate to high quality suggestions. The remaining suggestions, I will not say that they are of poor quality, but they are also equally important. But something which adds a lot of value either in terms of productivity or in terms of cost reduction or in terms of improvement of safety, I would say on an overall average about 40% of the number of suggestions polled actually would qualify for this thing. There is a question once again from Senthil saying what is the mechanism for deciding the quantum of cash award for a suggestion adjudged or generate substantial gain to the company? Interesting question. We have a monetary scheme of rewarding people who are giving suggestions. Okay. For every suggestion that is given and implemented, there is a cash award of 100 rupees per suggestion. Okay. Now, if it is a quality suggestion, that is a suggestion that gets rewarded at the quarterly suggestion function that we hold along with the managing director. The suggestion qualifies for a minimum cash award of 500 rupees. Okay, so just look at it, what the employee can get. If it is a suggestion, good suggestion, because all suggestions are good, I would not say that anything is bad, it carries a minimum of 100 rupees to 500 rupees. Now, if the suggestion is something which is giving, let's say, a financial benefit of 3 lakhs and more, the suggestion automatically in the online system goes to the finance department for validation. And if the finance department certifies that yes, this suggestion can give 3 lakh benefit, then the suggestion automatically qualifies for a cash award of anything between 500 rupees to 2000 rupees for that suggestion. This decision, whether it is going to be 1000, 1500 or 2000, is taken by the suggestion core group committee. There is a committee of 5 people, of senior people who are there, who review the suggestion and they take a decision based on the genuinity with which how it has been done or the approach how it has been done, the long-term sustenance of that suggestion and the financial implication. So it can go up to 2000 rupees and which is decided by the core group depending on the nature of suggestion that is given. Okay, Senthil also asked a question, with all these people involvement activities, anytime in the past, have you faced any labor unrest? I'm proud to say this, and I'm really proud. We are the only organization in the Sri Perumbudur belt who do not have any union. We are the only company. We do not have a category itself called workman. We have only 2 designations in our company. Either the person is called a team member or someone who is giving a functional leadership is called a team leader. There is no other designations except designations of managing director. There is a director of operations, there is a director of sales and marketing, and there is a director of finance. Other than that, all others are called either a team leader or a team member, and we do not have any unions. So absolutely we have never faced a situation of unrest inside this. See, all these unrest and things start when you start classifying people. I have shown in my slide even an outsourced service provider like a contractor who comes and participates in the same meeting where the SGGI employee is also sitting. We do not look at them differently. Okay. Okay. Chinlea has got a question. In pillars of Saint-Gobain specified as reliability and quality separately. Yes, reliability pillar basically focuses from the engineering side in terms of downtime of equipment or improving the OEE of the equipments, whereas the quality pillar actually focuses on zero defect. So both the pillars are different, but the members who would be part of these pillars would be having a cross-functional team which would involve both people from quality as well as from the production lines. Pavan Kumar Saini is asking a copy of the presentation. Yes, I will make it available with CII, who I will ask them to share it with you. Okay, do you allow plant visits? Mr. Shanmugam has asked. Yes, we do allow plant visits, but individually from organizations we do not permit. We permit only when they come through CII or any such body, because we cannot allow individual people coming in. There are a lot of safety requirements which need to be followed. So we, in fact, actually CII does a lot of programs. I think almost every month I have a CII visit there from some zone or other. People have come even from Kerala zone. People, I think about 2 months back there was a zone from Kerala which came to the plant. So you can approach CII. CII does the visits to companies of excellence. They generally do it area-wise. It would be like Chennai area, where maybe 2 companies are targeted, and 1 company is done in the morning and 1 company in the afternoon. So you could do it through CII. Please get in touch with the CII representative. Can you share the Charlie Chaplin video of 6S? I am afraid I cannot send it across, but if you are coming through CII to the factory, yes, we can share it with you there. We can show you, because it's after all, I'm sure it will benefit every organization. We do not have a problem, but we will have to do it through an official route. Puneet has got a question on all your initiatives seem to be meant for shop floor associates. How senior associates contribute in these specific service functions like commercial HR? I had mentioned very clearly in the suggestion scheme, this is open for all employees across all levels. There is no designation here. Anyone can put it, a suggestion, or get himself actively involved. Let's talk even a mass success activity. Many times you would find the directors themselves coming in and participating based on their availability. If they are available in the factory, I have seen most mass success, the directors are there with a broomstick and with all sorts of things, with gloves, masks, everything, doing the activity, just as similar to what a very junior member, maybe of 6 months old in the company, is doing. They do side by side. Absolutely, there is no differentiation. Anybody would do. I do agree of one thing here, that normally when it comes to activities like suggestions, the engineering services score normally higher when compared to other functions, because they get a higher recognition. The spot award system that we have covers even the commercial functions. I'll give you an example of how a purchase department can do it. Let's say there is a normal procurement activity which is done. Okay, there is a particular lead time, particular cost at which he is buying. Now there is a sudden flash strike across India. The expectation is that the strike would be only for 1 week. Normally we would have resources built in inside the factory to cover such kind of small exigencies. But let's say the exigency has gone far beyond that, and there needs to be some emergency action taken, where there is an employee who has gone out of the way and done something great activity to see that the plant disruption has not been done. We recognize him through the spot award system. It may not be a suggestion. It will be through something what we call a spot award, where his functional head would come across and give an appreciation letter and get it recognized then and there, the same shift or the very next day of working day, he would come and do it. So we cover all departments, including the HR functions. Any index being followed to track the involvement level? We do not have one single index. We have actually multiple index. Like suggestion, as I said, we have in terms of the number of suggestions which are given per employee per year. We track it and review it on a monthly basis. mass success kind of an activity, what we do, we track it in terms of the number of employees who are participating or the number of man-hours that we do. We have CSR activities. Typically, the CSR activities in most companies actually get measured by the amount that is spent by the company for the CSR. We do it slightly different. We actually track the number of hours that we are actually spending on CSR activity. So there is an index which we also follow for that. So index is not one single index which is followed for all activities. There are separate indexes for each of the activities that we do. Natraj has got a question. What are the other motivational factors other than salary and recognition in terms of conducting various programs in SGG? See, Natraj, I must say, salary is one way of motivating people, but it becomes a never-ending story if you do only through that. I think many times it is not only monetary thing that works. A pat on the back at the right time, I think, would do the trick. Many a times we fail to do this. We fail to understand what the employee has contributed, and somewhere down the line at the time of appraisal, it is that employee who comes forward and says, sir, I went and did this activity which helped, and then you start recollecting when was this incident. Many a times I have seen people asking, when did that happen? And that's precisely the problem that happens. You need to recognize it then and there. If you do not do it, just appreciate him in front of all the people. I think you would have done your job there. So that's very important. You could give a small certificate, saying, or a letter giving an appreciation that the company recognizes his efforts. That's one way what we do. We also have several other things like the annual excellence award that we do, which is on a much higher scale that we do. But I think every contribution needs to be looked at in its own individuality. Mr. Srinivasan from Ashok Leyland says, what is the duration of project generally allowed for implementation? I suppose you are asking this question for the QC projects or for the WCM Greenbelt projects. They are generally for 12 weeks with a review done after every 4 weeks. We would not be able to do a weekly review. The weekly review is restricted to the functional head to do it himself or herself. But on a monthly scale, this gets reviewed by the senior management team. And at the end of 3 months, in front of the assessor as well as in front of the senior management, the project person gives the project presentation, which is closing the project done. We have a question from Ms. Jamuna Rani saying, in the sixth pillar, how do you maintain customer focus and service? These are various ways, indexes which we have to monitor. A simple thing I can tell you is a truck turnaround time. Okay, there is an order placed in the system by the marketing team. There is a customer service department who then convert it to an order for the warehouse department to ship the material out. Now there are several activities which take place, including calling the truck, getting the truck loaded, and dispatching the truck. We have something what is known as a truck turnaround time, which is monitored, which is an index for the warehouse department. So we normally keep a target of about less than 24 hours for the truck to come in and get loaded. Because see, ultimately if the truck leaves on time, the customer gets the delivery on time. There could be indexes in terms of the number of orders that are serviced. Let's say a customer has placed order for, let's say, 100 tons of a material. You are given, let's say, 90 tons on time and 10 tons not on time. So there is a device, there is a mechanism which is devised to calculate the service factor for that as to how many, what is the kind of service that we have done for the customer on time in full. OTIF is a measurement that we do for them. And the whole activity get broken down into several stages. So I would not say there is just one index. There are multiple indexes actually done to calculate the customer focus pillar. Murugan is asking a question of a team member, how do they enter Kaizen in online system? We have an online system where it is a common system actually, where everybody can enter the system. They enter what is the present nature of problem that they had encountered, what is the corrective action that they have done. The online system, why it is good is, one, there is a database which is preserved and kept actually, so that you don't lose data in the future. So it becomes a reference point. Secondly, the Kaizen also gets viewed by multiple cross functions. See, one of the problem in factories is many times you would find some of the commercial functions, or I am connected with X department. I normally don't go to the Y department, so I may not be able to know what good things are happening there. The online system actually helps me to understand what kind of thing is done at various places. So there is an in-house developed online software, very simple one, nothing great. It just captures it, employee voice, it captures, and anyone is free to put in the Kaizen into that. It also helps us in reviewing the Kaizens on a monthly or quarterly basis for the awarding. What is your employee satisfaction index? This is a slightly difficult question for me to answer, Puneet. We have, by year, a survey which is done through external agencies. We normally used to use Gallup for finding out the survey. In fact, last year, what we have done in the month of December, what we did, we used actually Hewitt for carrying out this survey, where there is a series of questions which are there, and all employees. See, this is again a difference between us and many companies. In many companies, when they do this survey is restricted only to a group of people. Let's say normally from the middle management and the senior management, or probably at some places even the junior level. But this category called workers are normally kept out of these kind of surveys. In our case, we do not have the category called workers itself, so everyone participates who is a permanent Saint-Gobain employee. Outsourced service employees, yes, are kept out of it naturally because they do not have individual access to computers. That's the reason. It's an online thing that we do. And then, we had something like about, I think this time we had about 99% participation levels in the online survey that we did. And then there are, points which come out of it, for which we do again a cross-functional team in finding out what need to be done. And then we put it across for improvement plans. So there is no specific one single index. Again, multiple index to calculate the satisfaction levels. It is done in terms of engagement level, in terms of contribution level, recognition level, including salary also, because that is one index which definitely need to be captured, because that's where generally there will be a lot of disengagement between the company and the employee. Natraj asked a question: how do you organize all these activities without affecting production? See, unless you integrate all these activities as part of your daily work, it doesn't happen. A WCM activity or a TA initiative cannot be separate from that of your normal routine activities. It is little difficult. I do agree. I'm not saying it's very simple. I would not like to give an answer given by a typical consultant who would say that everything has to be done. But this has to be merged. So if see, what people do in the shop floor must be in tandem to the work that he is doing or is required to be done. So if you can put both of these together, then I think there is no separate activity to be done. And we give them sufficient time to do these activities. Just imagine, we have about 1,000 employees who are working with us at the Chennai factory. I think the number of laptops itself that we have for individual people are about 600. Okay. And we have, I think, almost more than about 500 terminals inside the plant also, which means it's almost actually slightly a ratio of more than one computer per person. That's the only way we can do it online. Otherwise, it is difficult to maintain. If you have common systems, you would typically face the problem of, when I want to do something, it's not available. Do you have a linkage of involvement of these activities to your performance management system? I suppose that's what Mr. Shanmugam is asking. Absolutely, yes. When the annual performance appraisal is done at the end of the year, the respective sponsor in the screen actually can click a button, and the moment you put onto it, that particular individual's contribution throughout the year, it comes out. How many suggestions he has given, how many TA initiatives that he has worked on, how many Kaizens he has given, how many audits that he has done, every single detail of that person, including the number of trainings that he has attended, everything comes into that performance management system. And yes, it is part of the performance management system of the individual. OE calculations, 16 major losses are shown. How to reduce, eliminate major losses? I think it's a separate topic by itself. You need to go through the TPM manual. to actually get it. It's very simple. It's quite simplified, explained, but that's a separate session by itself. I can share with you on a personal note on how we do it. You can write to me. I can share with you whatever I have with me. Okay, while giving full permission for associates through an auto mail to go for a mass success program, how do you run your regular production lines? Mr. Srinivasan again asking me from Ashok Leyland. See, this is why we give this auto mailer is because it goes to all terminals. Okay, now there are 500 people working in the factory. All 500 of them receive. Not all the 500 come because there are people who need to be doing the regular production activity. Let's say a person sitting in the control room. He has to be at the terminal. Otherwise, something will go wrong there. We don't expect him to come. But by virtue of his shifts, there are times when, see, this activity normally happens between 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the evening. And this mail goes well in advance. So a morning shift guy comes from 6 o'clock to 2:30. He comes there. Many a times he waits. And if he wants to participate, he waits and then comes and joins in for the program. But there are people who are mandated to be at the desk to do that activity. They don't come for the program. But others who have got general work or who, I will not call it as excess, but who can spare themselves. I mean, just imagine your boss calling for a meeting. You mean to say that nobody will go? Somebody would be going to attend the boss meeting. It is just like that. He just goes and does. It's not for a very large, that's why we do it only for 1 to 1.5 hours. We don't do it for a full day because it is not possible. So we do it just for 1 hour. So it's like, going and attending a meeting. So he comes, does the activity, goes back. How is the daily communication meeting department-wise conducted? It is conducted in the shop floor by the respective departments. There is a representation. There is a good thing that we do in all the daily meetings that we have. Normally, see, we have a number of people in the HR department as well as in the safety department. Every HR guy is linked to a particular department. There is no reason why he or she is assigned to this department. They do it by rotation. For this year, person X is assigned to a particular department. He also goes and sits in the daily meeting. And in the daily meeting, it is not only the production and the breakdown that gets discussed. There are the TEI initiatives and any such kind of general things also get discussed in the same meeting. So there is an HR guy who is there. There is a safety guy who is attached to the department. He sits there for the meeting. There is also a person from the WCM cell who goes and sits in the meeting. So, it helps them to address issues slightly faster because you don't expect the employee to come to the respective cells like HR or commercial functions to come and say, look, I have got a problem, help me. Rather, this person is available at the department meeting, so he gets to know what is happening and what kind of help is required. So it is like a proactive step. So that's what we do in the daily communication meeting. This is done, slightly in a cyclical way. There's something like 9 to 9:30. There is a meeting at the float line 1. 9:30 to 9:50 is at float line 2. Then 10 o'clock to 10:15 is at the mirror line. So it is at different times. So some of the senior management team also get opportunity to attend multiple meetings during that day to find out, and the whole review of the previous day takes place at there itself. Then by around 11:30 you are completely free to do all your other works. Since you have two designation, team member and team leader, how do you answer the career path of an employee? This is from Major Urmila 9. Yes, career path we do give them. See, when a let's say a diploma person joins in, he has got a particular career path. He comes in actually. He does a role specified to a small area or a small equipment. Over a period of time, he gains expertise. He gains the functional knowledge. He moves to the larger area. See what happens, if someone is called, let's say, team member technical services. Okay, over 3-year period or 4-year period, he gets more expertise. He becomes team member technical services mirror plant. Okay, so it's a larger area that he has got. At a quite a senior level, he becomes team member technical services and for the whole area kind of a thing. So see, what is important is more than this so-called designations. I think the person has to feel that I'm doing a role which is slightly larger and I'm getting due recognition for what I'm doing. So that's how we address it. There is a career path. There's definitely a career path that we give them. we don't have designations, but there are grades kept, like A12, A11, A10. There are grades kept. So there is a grade movement which takes place, but the grades do not carry a designation. All the grades carry only one nomenclature as team member. Remember, today I may be a team leader for a slightly large, for a particular area. But if I go to a completely larger area or a much bigger area, in that area I need not be a team leader. I might be a team member also. So it's not that a team member has become a team leader now for he'll always be a team leader. This keeps shuffling. Someone could become a team member at a later stage also, but he's a team member for a larger area. What is the software you are using for controlling all this online? These are actually in-house developed softwares. They are running on various platforms, generally on Oracle platforms they run. These are in-house developed. These are not bought out softwares, except for things like what we have for the performance management system, which is like the PeopleSoft software that we follow, but the rest of them are in-house developed. We have a full-fledged IT team. Part of it is the Saint-Gobain employees, and part of them work as an outsourced agency for us. So requirements come from various departments and customizations are done on the program, or a program is built, designed across it. But whatever we do it through a complete comprehensive system that we don't either do a duplication of the software, or we don't do a software which is watertight. We allow enough access to, for simplicity so that everyone is able to operate the software without any problem. These are in-house developed softwares. Okay, I'll take the last question. How do you address the comparison? What an employee do whenever he see other companies like manager, general manager, etc. Major, I have only one thing to say. When you want to come to Saint-Gobain, when anybody we say that want to join Saint-Gobain, we are very clear. We do, first of all, basically campus recruitments, okay, whether it is for a diploma or for a GET. At the campus itself, we tell them very clearly what we are and what kind of thing that they can expect by coming to our organization. We tell them upfront about these designation issues. So if you are coming for designations, Saint-Gobain is the wrong place. I mean, there are several other companies. I'm not saying that, the giving designations is bad. As a principle, we don't do it. It's a system that we have. So we tell it upfront. We don't allow the person to come in and then, for him to realize that, there is no designations here. Oh, my friend has become, manager, general manager. I think it's more important to see what he or she is doing and the way the person is getting recognized. I think that's more important. Yes, there are times when we do face this at stages. Okay, there are some employees who do come to us saying that, my son, my partner or my college mate is now vice president in some company. Remember, a small organization, for example, can give even fancy designations. Okay, but when you are in a manager in a large company, let's say, there are people from Ashok Leyland here over there. A manager probably in Ashok Leyland would be equivalent to a vice president in a company which has got 5 people. Okay, now what are you doing? You could be calling yourself the CEO or a single man show. I have seen several organizations which are single man show and who put on their visiting card as chief executive. It's a single man. Naturally, you're the director or you're the managing director or you're whatever it is. But in a large organization, I think the kind of responsibility and the kind of accountability the person has got, I think carries much more value to that. So we don't go and we upfront tell people about the scheme what we have. Maybe I think there's one more question I can take. Is annual appraisal applicable for team leader as well as team leader member both? It is applicable for all employees up to the managing director. It starts with the moment an apprentice gets confirmed into the trainee role. See, there is a 1-year apprenticeship which some of the people do from the diploma stage. So when they from the apprenticeship they cross 1 year, they are then called as trainee. So they become a trainee. The moment they get into a trainee itself, the appraisal starts, and it goes up to the managing director level. I'm sure it's above the managing director of the site also. There is an annual appraisal. But only thing is, when it comes to compensation, we have different grading systems. We have at a senior level, the business performance takes higher weightage when compared to an individual performance. But at a team member level, at a much lower level, the individual performance carries a higher weightage than the business performance. So it's a slope that we take actually. Okay, thank you very much. Should you have any further questions, you can always write to CII, and then through them I can get the questions and I can answer to you at my personal level. Looking forward to seeing you again in similar programs. Thank you all.
Yeah, hope all the participants enjoyed on listening Mr. Balasubramanian presentation. Hope you had very good learnings and takeaways. And on behalf of CII, I must thank Mr. Balasubramanian for presented this wonderful TI presentation. And I must thank even all the participants on behalf of CII. And for members' benefit, we'll be just uploading this presentation and the recorded link on this My CII online portal shortly. So thank you once again, and thanks Mr. Balasubramanian for this excellent thing.